drunk, Dread. Why do I sound like I'm off?
You're not.
I'm not?
No.
You sure?
Positive.
I'm just trying to distract you from the background noise.
Oh, my God.
What's that remind you of? What'd you just say before we hit record, actually?
I hate the sound of crying babies.
That's pretty fucking cruel.
You think so?
I think so.
All right, I'm sorry.
So why do you hate crying babies?
I don't know. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. It's just one of those things that just absolutely drives me nuts.
Why? Is it because you can't have babies or something?
No,
or
I just can't.
do your boys not swim?
No. I just hate the noise, man. I don't know.
I thought it would have reminded you of, like, liberals.
Well, that too. And people just crying, bitching, and whining for no reason. That's also a thing, but...
Yo, actually, you remind me of the story, what we were just talking about an hour ago when I arrived at Coventry here. On that ugly sweater party that I went to recently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What do you think about that situation?
I think it's a fucked up situation, to be honest with you.
Let me elaborate for the listener here. So, it's Christmas time, and I went to ugly sweater party because I guess that's a thing in America. I'm not used to that because us Mexicans, we always wear ugly sweaters, man. And I found myself sipping my Shebeen beer. I'm sipping the cranberry yum yum right now. I think I was at the time too. Hold on, let me take a sip. I think that's my favorite one. So I'm having a good time at the party. You know, there's Christmas music in the background. A whole bunch of fucking retarded sweaters. Or I'm sorry, special needs sweaters. And you know, I'm rocking the one. I don't know if people follow me that much because I'm not really interesting, but remember that sweater I wore last Christmas season is the reindeer sweater, and I added Christmas lights to the front, like spilling guts.
Yep.
And then I painted my eyes with 2 X's, so when I close my eyes, it looks like, you know, dead deer. So I'm wearing that sweater, and I mean, I guess it was a liberal. I don't want to judge, but assuming... comes out of left field all trashed already. And it was kind of early. It was still like maybe 10 p.m.
Maybe she was a commie.
You think so?
Maybe.
She wasn't. Never mind. I don't want to say anything racist. But so she came at me and she's like, you know, she was white looking. Okay, I guess I am racist. White girl comes up all trashed. You know, not everyone likes hunters. And not everyone likes to hunt. So I think that sweater is very disrespectful. I'm like, chick, it's just a Christmas sweater. You know, it's just Christmas lights. And she's like, excuse me? And then out of left field, her boyfriend comes in. I'm assuming, because he was just as trashed. He's like, what'd you just call her? I'm like, I'm sorry to call you chick. Lady, it's just a Christmas sweater. You know, it's a party. We're having a good time. I'm like, your shit's pretty ugly too. And before you know it, the host of the party comes over because she sees like a possible potential altercation. Whereas me, like, this dude is huge and jacked, which usually those are the dudes that can't really fight. No offense to anyone that's jacked and could fight. I'm not talking about you. Please don't come looking for me and beat me up. But I didn't come to this party to fight. When I'm at a party, I just want to relax. So in my head, I'm like, fuck. Maybe I shouldn't have said that shit, you know? And just to be clear, like, I told Garrett the same thing on the way over here. And the modern assassin, he's like, well, it depends on the situation. He's like, sometimes you're feeling froggy. I'm like, you're right. But this time of night, dude, I'm here to have fun, relax, have a good time. So... he's like, well, I think you should apologize. I'm like, I'm not going to apologize for me wearing this sweater and you guys having even uglier sweaters. And before you know it, she reaches back. And that's not an exact quote, but she reaches back with her cup in her hand and her drink. And she's trashed. You know, they're all sloppy and slurring the words. And it's only 10 o'clock. It's like, Jesus Christ. And she reaches back all slow motion to throw her cup right at me, yo. And I did the classic old duck bob and weave, you know, and behind me, this poor girl, She was kind of hot, too, poor thing. Having a good time, talking with her friends, got fucking nailed with the cup and splashed. And then all hell broke loose, man. And so, in bobbing and weaving, like the one motion, I just kind of like bobbed and weaved through the crowd and went to the staircase and set my shebeen as chaos broke loose. And I just watched what I had created. And a quick reminder so I can relate to all the chubby motherfuckers out there like me. So, Trev, you might appreciate this, but this might be ahead of your time because you're a youngin'. I almost have a decade on you. So, I guess I'm that old. Stand By Me. You ever watch that movie?
No.
Really?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. So I
You
don't
do.
know.
You do.
Sometimes.
I think it's just ahead of your time.
I think it's like Hallmark when I'm falling asleep and Michelle's watching
Hallmark.
watching some Christmas movies this time of the year.
I can't believe
And
you
I just listen to
disclosed
them.
that. You watch Hallmark.
Well, I
that's
don't
all right.
actually watch them. I'm sleeping. I
No,
think they
you're
watch
watching
me.
them. Nah, you're watching them.
Nah.
Yeah, I think you told me about one. How excited it got you. So anyways, what I'm getting at, Stand By Me, it's this dude goes to pie eating contest. And before he entered the pie eating contest, I think it was like blueberry pie or some shit like that. Before he entered the contest, they called him lard ass, the whole town. This is a story that was told at what would be our deer camp was their camp. And lard ass actually downs a bottle of Crisco before entering the contest. You want to know why?
Why?
He wanted to get revenge to the whole town in the pie eating contest by downing the whole bottle of Crisco. And I believe it was 1 or 2 raw eggs. I think it was 2 raw eggs, if my memory serves me correct. And he enters the contest, starts eating, and all of a sudden his stomach turns and he starts a puke fest. And he just stood back and watched what he created in pride. I kind of felt like lard ass, man.
That's awesome.
I'm kind of chubby this time of year. You know what I mean? All my boys call me Big Homie. I don't think it's for no reason, I'm usually in shape, during hunting season. But this time of year, it's like late season. I bulk up. All the good food, all the good...
Thanksgiving's here.
I'm more like a grizzly bear. Or maybe
getting ready for hibernation?
No, I live in the dirty, so I'm more like a black bear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Makes
just
sense.
bulk up for the season, But anyways, man, we have a cool... enough of the nonsense. We have a cool episode today. A.K.A. what Garrett, the Modern Assassin from Kills It Podcast, calls him Stephen Clark. The reason he said that is because that's how you spell Steven, is with a PH. He's a PH Steven. And this dude actually reached out to us when we first started, roughly a year ago. And I'll let him tell the story of how he found us. And he reached out. And Trev, what were you saying he asked? Because I couldn't even believe him. Who the fuck is this dude?
He had said something along the lines of... What are you guys going to do to expand down the East Coast?
So what were your thoughts?
I don't know. I was like, who in the fuck? I don't know. It was just weird to me.
Why was it weird, though?
What?
Why was it weird, though?
Just, maybe the context, maybe the way that I just read it. I was like, what? That's, okay. I don't know. It was just weird.
I guess he was just interested in like what our goals were for the podcast.
And I thought it was amazing, honestly. And then now he's become probably Facebook calls him a top fan.
Damn. Do we dare call him a top fan?
I don't know. Does that mean we get to call him a fanboy?
I want you to say that to his face at Harrisburg. I want to see what happens because this dude, we'll let him tell his story, but he is a veteran, so we do thank him for his service.
Absolutely.
He does support us since day one, so that I don't understand why, but he does. And we've actually contributed to his hunting season and success by measuring. Out of all people, he wanted me to measure his bear skull. He's out of Virginia. Shout out to VA, East Coast all the way. And you actually took one step further and whitened it for him.
Yeah.
So we supplied our services in appreciation for what he represents, which is the clean, ethical hunter that stands up for the right reason. And there's much more to his story, and that's what we're about to get into because this show is brought to you by Elite Archery. the most shootable bow. Make the switch. Don't just honor the ritual, but find the cure. Because it is at Elite Archery. And we all encourage you guys to take the Elite Archery Challenge. What is that exactly, Trev?
Is go out and shoot an elite bow.
Yeah, because you might like it. How do you know you don't like Elite Archery or Elite Bows unless you try one, right?
It's the old man's bow.
Is it?
They call it the old man's bow.
Why are you still a baby then?
Because it is so comfortable.
Okay. I'm going to go with Trev on that. You know, it's smooth like butter, so try one out. It's awesome.
Should be.
Which one you got there?
I also got the cranberry yum yum.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it banging?
It's one of my favorites.
It's that time of year.
This time of year, I wait for that cranberry yum yum.
So what's your second favorite yum yum that's out there?
Yum yum? Actually, I kind of like the blueberry yum yum, to be honest, as a yum yum. I think my second favorite shebeen of all time is Smoothie Shop, the pink Smoothie Shop. I hope to see that again, honestly, because that's my favorite.
I think they're never going to make it again because it's your favorite.
Of course they aren't.
You think you would ever have a, like, gravy porter? That's a cool name.
Whoa. Gravy porter.
Yeah. They have DRP Imperial right now.
I saw that.
It's insane. That shit doesn't just fill you up, but it gets you fucked up.
Really?
Yeah. So that's something like I would suggest starting off with it. It's served in a tulip glass, not a full mug.
Yep.
Because it is that strong, but it's so smooth that it's dangerous.
Imperial, that's a double IPA, correct? Most of the time?
No, Imperials are usually like a stout or porter form.
Yeah. All right.
And they're super smooth but super strong. So that's why I suggest to start off with that if you want to be responsible. But if you're trying to get fucked up, fuck it. End with it.
That's what Uber's for.
Yep. We're not sponsored by Uber. I don't know why you shut them out like that.
Oh. You're right. But that's what they're for.
That was awkward silence.
It's not.
So promo codes, we have Gator Outdoors, outfitting the working class. The one-stop shop for
your ass.
I don't know. That didn't really flow.
No, sorry.
Okay.
I was a day late. That was short.
You're kind of off your game tonight. Usually you're on point.
I know. Sorry. Hold on. Give me 1 second. All right. Back on time.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
So, outfitting the working class at Gator Outdoors, your one-stop shop for all your hunting needs and fishing needs. You could get duck decoys. What else can you get? I mean,
CBE sights, elite bows, the scrape stick,
scent crusher products,
Lone Wolf custom,
a whole bunch of shit.
True Timber.
True Timber.
Do not forget about the True Timber.
And what's the promo code?
ECB10.
ECB10 to save you some.
That's ECB10.
Oh, we didn't know that because he just said it.
No. Just wanted to make sure.
So
repeat. We
have a giveaway coming up from one of our other sponsors that we have a promo code is Death Wish Coffee. Promo code ECB. Oh, I'm sorry, East Coast 10. And we just finished doing a couple giveaways. We did the Gator Outdoors giveaway with the drifter cooler filled with Gator gear. Congratulations to Stephen Carpenter. I think we sent that out, or it's about to be sent out this weekend. So, congratulations to him because that's a dope giveaway. Also, the Outright Hunting Products, the Morph Pro giveaway kit, the mini bow set, installation tool, 3 screw sets, camera mount, t-shirt, and decal went to Brian Mace. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Congratulations to him. He's out of Ohio. Stephen Carpenter, is that CT?
He's right here in Coventry.
Oh, no shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was rigged. You fuck.
No.
Did you rig that shit?
No, I didn't rig it.
Okay. But
you picked it. No,
yeah.
Actually, Wade did.
Yeah, Wade did
he
pick
just
it
picked
on
the
air.
number.
Yeah,
so,
you're right. No shit. All right. You're off the hook this time. So Ohio just won it, Brian, and we have another giveaway right now with the on-the-go kit. I showed Trev the kit for the first time in our last episode with Dan Smeltz.
Someone from Coventry is going to win that one too.
Hell no.
Yeah, that's me.
Fuck that. You banned me from the last hats. Like, I was going to buy a hat. You said no.
Nope.
Those hats are dope, by the way.
They are. And
good,
like
good
I
thing
said,
your boy
picked
picked out the right camo.
Yeah, and next week we will have, hopefully, fingers crossed, that they should be done and ready for sale next week or the early week after.
Oh, yeah, because we have to wait on the embroidery.
The embroidery, yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. So the on the go kit, it's a nice little kind of, I don't know, 4x12 by 5 deep. Little baggie that comes with 2 tin cups with the on the go kit Death Wish logo on it. Perfect for camping, anything outdoors. And it comes with a bunch of single packs that you just kind of set over your tin cup. And you just got to pour hot water through it, and you have instant Death Wish coffee on the go.
I need that shit for the duck blind.
Yeah, too bad you're banned.
I know.
Get it. Can't get
And
it.
they're all out, right?
No, not yet. They still have them. So, I mean, you could go online if you don't want to wait for the giveaway. You could go on there and use promo code EastCoast10. Don't forget to check out their podcast with the Incredible Jeff at Fueled by Deathcast. So they're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, anywhere a podcast is found, except for a few where we're located, because I think we're actually on a Spanish platform, iBooks. I don't know how we did it, but we're there.
Who the fuck speaks Spanish to even know how to put it on there? That's what I want to know.
That was pretty racist shit, motherfucker.
No, it
Fucking
wasn't.
hillbilly fuck.
No, I was saying who speaks Spanish to put it on there. We don't have anybody that does that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because I'm American.
Yeah.
So, on the go kit, we look out for that. We will have the giveaway very soon. It's Christmas month. That's what we do in December, is we give away a fuck ton of shit. So, next promo code is Ethics Archery. If you don't shoot ethics, then
Go fuck you.
go fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what's the promo code there?
East Coast 10.
East Coast 10 is the promo code. And guess what? That's going to be the next giveaway. I won't release the details, but that's a huge one. We have 3 promo codes for the winners that they can exclusively use on the Ethics website. And I can't give away too many details. You're going to have to wait because
You
it's
said
up.
3 winners?
There's going to be 3 winners to that one.
What?
3 separate promo codes, 3 different winners, and you get to go on a shopping spree on Ethics. It's dope. I can't wait for that one too. Tree Thrasher, Imitate the Wild. Use promo code
East Coast 15.
East Coast 15 will get you to seal the deal. I mean, you have your grunt call, you have your bow, you have your bow hanger, the Morph Pro, and guess what? You pick up before you pick up your ritual, you want to imitate the wild by replicating either the big buck stepping through the leaves or thrashing a tree or even snapping some twigs. And you know what? All the proceeds and profits goes to a really good cause, to Todd Pregnant's, God rest his soul. And we should support each other in the hunting community and support his family and his living legacy, because he stays in our memory living through that. And it's a good cause. So it's cheap enough, then you get it even cheaper or less expensive with our promo code. So help out a brother. Just because he's gone, he's not going to be gone in memory. So God bless his family and amen to that. What's another promo code we have?
We have... There's one for Nor'easter game calls.
And what's that?
ECB.
Do you get them in close?
Get them in close.
ECB gets you a free lanyard with every ECB Evo grunt call purchase.
And a koozie if you spend over $100.
Right. So
I think that's still running, right?
Yeah. We said till the end of November or beginning of November, but guess what? Just let Mark Buzzle at Nor'easter Game Calls know that we said so. And what we say goes when it comes to our sponsors. They have our back 100%. And look out for the ECB Exotic Series grunt calls. What this is exactly is it's going to be made out of material that is really hard to find. It might be something that you might overlook every day, but again, it's not easy to come across it, especially this time of year. and Mark's done it. And it just has a little bit extra pizzazz. And the one noticeable thing that you will discover that'll distinguish this call from the Evo series is this ECB exotic series is going to have some type of exotic bone thumb tab. That's going to be the most noticeable feature right off the rip. And then once you get into it and start looking at the design and what material was used in the acrylic that he encases this material with and spins it out, it could be anything from beer hops to a wasp nest, honeycombs, fraggrass. There's all kinds of material. It's pretty dope and one of a kind. The best thing about it is it's lifetime warranty.
That's it.
So even if you drop it yourself, crack it, guess what? Send it back, and he'll take care of it for free. He stands behind his product. So our last promo code of the evening. Check out Working Class Bowhunter. Go on their website, use promo code ECB, and save you some. Because if you want to rock that Midwest swag and your pockets don't have that Midwest flavor, guess what? Bring the East Coast to the Midwest by using your promo code ECB and save you some. So, what better time than to get right to it, man? Let's get Steven on the line.
Fuck yeah. Why East Coast Bowhunting Podcast?
Because neither one of us wear pink camo.
East Coast Bowhunting Podcast. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Look, man, I'm from Wisconsin. I listen to the East Coast Bowhunters because you don't get anything more real than these guys.
Because East Coast Bowhunting sets the standards for keeping its listeners informed on everything that matters in the hunting industry.
Nice having somebody, local and represent the East Coast boys.
The East Coast is going to saddle up.
Number one source for slaying whitetails on the East Coast.
Well, you might see Jesus if you actually shoot something, it'll get you into heaven.
Why East Coast? Why not? I'm East Coast, baby. That's how we roll. Chew on that.
Come on the show, a stranger, and you feel like one of the boys when you leave.
Because I get my hunting camp anytime I want.
There's some absolute monsters roaming the East Coast, and I think it needs a little attention, so why not bring it to the East Coast Bowhunters Podcast?
Man, because East Coast is a tight-knit crew, and y'all like me. Raw, real, no bullshit.
Because you guys are hometown boys. I love you guys.
East Coast Bowhunting Podcast.
This is Kurt Geyer with Working Class Bowhunter, and East Coast Bowhunting Podcast is the only hunting podcast I'll tune into.
All right, so we're back on the line with Steven Clark. What's up, my boy? How you doing?
Same old, brother. We're just hanging in, getting it on down here in the bitter cold in Virginia.
The bitter cold? You think it's as cold as Connecticut right now, or how bitter is it?
I dare say you guys got it worse than me. I think we're hitting like 28. We're expecting some ice tonight, but you guys have definitely had a little worse.
I got Trev on the line too, man.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Long time no talk.
I know, man. Seriously.
Shit, you guys have grown to be pretty close friends over the year of getting to know everyone, you know?
What can I say? Trev's a cuddly guy.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Especially when it's 28 degrees and ice is out, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
I appreciate that.
Shit.
Yeah, just remind your wife of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, you just reminded me, I don't know why, but you reminded me of that movie Alive, when those folks crash in top of a mountain in the Arctic or some shit like that, and they had
yeah.
Yeah. Trev's
no
the first
kidding.
to go.
Yeah.
He's got the most meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
He's either
appreciate
the first
that.
We're cuddling with or the first we're putting out to the wolves.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yo, let's kick it off right, Steve, and then we'll dip into the story. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and where we can find you.
So I'm Steven Clark. I'm from Front Royal, Virginia, native to Arizona, northeast up in the White Mountains, and I transported out to Virginia about 6 years ago. And you can find me on Instagram at Hidden Mountain Bowhunter. I don't do the Facebook thing. It's a little too out there for me.
Okay, dope. What brought you from AZ to the East Coast?
So from Arizona, straight out of high school, I joined the military and went off, did my thing for 8 years, did a couple of tours. And when I got home, I was excited to get back home. Went back to Arizona, and there really wasn't an economy. There was no jobs. There was nothing happening. And I was fortunate that a couple of good friends I had served with from the 173rd reached out to me and put me in touch with the Rear Admiral out here in Virginia. And he basically recruited me. He said, come out here. You know the Army. Let us teach you tech and be an intermediary for a big corporate company. And we came out. I did some interviews, literally sold everything we had, loaded a horse trailer, and drove to Virginia.
That's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. You know what? It's very intriguing because I grew up in a military family, never served, but I get it because there was a lot of times like it's a bit of a nomad style of life, dare I say. I don't know personally firsthand, but from witnessing firsthand, it seems to me like it's very easy when you're involved with the military to just get up and go. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but it's
you just get accustomed to it.
Right. That's a good choice of words. So, I mean, were there times when you had to get up and go, or even doing tours where it was more? I mean, shit. Let's just dip right into it. Was it gut wrenching or heartbreaking at all?
There were a few times and situations throughout the 8 years that it was very sporadic. It was crazy, and some of it was just literally off the hip and you're gone. First tour, so funny enough, and I don't even know if you know this, D-Rock, but my first 4 years was out in good old Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, no shit.
So,
what years?
Yeah, I was living down there in Sleesville as well.
No shit.
So, I was there from
world.
05 to late 08, somewhere in there, and did a tour in the middle of it with 4th Brigade, 10th Mountain.
Oh, no shit. Okay, I was out by then.
Yeah. I after hearing you talk about that, it kind of made me laugh. I was like, man, we got more shit in common than you'd believe. Because there's nothing out there.
I know. They call it Sleesville because most of the stuff they got out there are strip clubs. So
yeah, I mean, you got one restaurant and 4 strip clubs and a gas station, and
a Walmart.
You're there.
Yeah,
if you can get there.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. The hunting ain't too shabby there, though.
No, well, seeing that's what sucks is I only got to get out for one day the entire time I was there. Got out. I shipped my bow from Arizona to Sleesville. Got it all set up, got it ready to go, found a piece of private, and me and a buddy were going out. Hunted that morning, saw a couple of does, nothing crazy. And the following day, so my unit was a rapid deployment unit. I mean, we could be anywhere in the world in 96 hours. And go figure, day 2 of hunting season, we came down on orders. So we got on a bird and we headed to Afghanistan. That was the extent of my Louisiana hunting experience.
That's some hardcore shit, though. That's some hardcore shit. Not the hunting, the,
96 hours anywhere in the world.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, but I missed out on an entire season in Louisiana.
Yeah.
That almost hurts worse.
Yeah. Nah, I hear that, man. I hear that. But when duty calls, I mean, shit, you start going into a different type of slaying mode,
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine the feeling of that.
There's a different type of game that you can go and hunt that's, they shoot both ways, and you'll never compare anything to it.
I can only imagine, man. Do you mind kind of taking us through that type of experience? Because I know there's a lot of military people out there that would appreciate hearing it firsthand coming from you.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
I mean, shit, like let's start with maybe the first time you got deployed in a rapid, what'd you call it again?
It was a rapid deployment unit.
Rapid deployment unit. And the first time you had to be deployed and be somewhere within 96 hours. Take us through that experience, the very first time you had to experience that itself.
No problem. So the first one was a little wild. Like I said, I'm hunting one day, the next day we're loading Connexes and prepping gear and getting stuff ready to ship out to the flight line. Called my wife, who was my fiance at the time. She was in Kansas, and said, hey, I just got you a ticket. I'm going to have my roommate, who was out of the military, come down there, pick you up at the airport up in Alexandria, bring you down. We got to hang out for 5 or 6 hours. She was there for our so-called deployment ceremony that took about 20 minutes, loaded up on the buses, and we headed out. I think we were boots on ground in something like 73 hours, ready to fight. And, you know, as a young E4, it was kind of a shock. You know, you're excited because you're out there doing what you're going to do. But at the same time, it's like, holy shit, this is real. So got there, settled in, got through all our in-briefs, all the BS you go through when you get in country, all the local intel, and we got on birds and we went straight out. I mean, it was it literally hit the ground and ready to fight within 97 hours. It was nuts.
That's insane, man. And what were you carrying to protect yourself? Your main weapon, primary.
So
weapon.
that particular tour, I was on kind of a dual detail. During the warm season, we were up in the RC East area, Helmand Province, out through the Pesh River Valley. We were sporadic. During the warm season, I carried a 249, a SAW squad automatic weapon.
Damn.
And then when the winter season came and the movement slowed down, I transferred and I was on a 300 Win Mag. And we did, I guess you would kind of call it counter sniper operations. We'd set up OPs and watch guys coming out of Iran into Afghanistan, try to ID them. And I mean, funny enough, I always joke with everyone that we were hunting deer. You know, we'd set vans out there with weapons that were, you know, the barrels were welded shut, but they didn't know the difference. And as they'd walk by and grab a weapon, you know, you'd confirm, hey, they took weapons or they're going to go do their thing. We get clearance and we'd hunt them. It was like hunting whitetail on bait.
Damn,
so
wow, that's
I always joked and everyone's like, you're nuts, dude. I was like, no, dude, you have no clue how real this is.
This is like every day back home.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and being one of the few country boys in my unit, you know, everyone's kind of like shell shocked. They're like, you're nuts. You do this normal? It's like, yeah, this is normal for me, dude. It's just not quite the same. What do you say? The same outcome, the same risk.
Right.
Yeah, you're risking return fire. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, when they did come down, it wasn't pretty. So you did your job and made sure you guys that were on the ground were taken care of. And then you got the hell out of Dodge as safely as you could.
You know, that's pretty crazy, man. And again, like, we appreciate and thank you for your service, because it takes a big, massive set to even, for all the women and men out there serving, to even put themselves in that situation willingly. Whether you're willingly doing it after you enlist is a different story, but at the same time, like, you know what you're getting yourself into, or have a really good idea that shit's about to get real. So after you experience that, right? And you don't have to tell us into too great of detail, but I mean, obviously you've seen some shit. So when some shit went down and you witnessed that and you're a part of it, what were your emotions going through that? Like, was it spiritual, or was it praising forgiveness, or was it fuck yeah, fuck them? Like, what did you experience once the shit went down? If you catch my drift.
Yeah, I'm following. In all honesty, when the shit hits the fan and, you know, you're returning fire, you got shit whizzing over your head and shit popping off around you, it's all training and instinct. I mean, you don't think, you just do. You've drilled it so many times. You've replicated this whole scenario in your head through different training scenarios, and just, psycho-cybernetics, just sitting and picturing, okay, if this happens, I'm going to do this. And you relive that over and over and over so that it's just muscle memory. And honestly, you just react. I mean, your body knows what to do, your mind knows what to do, and you handle business. And when it's all said and done, you have time to reflect. And that's when you do the, hey, that just happened. I just did that. And you have to kind of embrace that. I got to live with this for the rest of my life type thing. But it all comes down to mental attitude. When you sign up and you go in to do these things, if you go into the fight knowing this is realistic, this could happen, and I'm going to deal with it, after you do it, it's, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's something that you can deal with. But if you go in there thinking, hey, I'm playing Call of Duty in the real world, and then shit hits the fan and you go, oh, this is nothing like Call of Duty, that's when it starts tearing people down. So it all comes down to your mental focus, your mental attitude.
That's pretty dope, man. Thank you for sharing that with us, because I know for some people it's not exactly the easiest thing to talk about, and we could definitely tell that you carry yourself very well. And again, you're a strong dude mentally, not just physically, to actually take us through that step by step, which is a perfect segue to, not that there's a comparison in experience, but there's a very good comparison and segue into hunting as far as strategy and being mentally prepared for, the hunter. And so let's see, or explain to us how you actually incorporate what you've learned with the military into the woods. Or
sure,
no
problem.
Or into your case, the backwoods, if you don't mind segue into that a bit after your explanation.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So, jumping kind of before military, I grew up, it was all spot and stock out west. We hunted elk, we hunted mule deer, and it was all archery because drawn rifle tags was near impossible even for resident. So I got used to the long walks, the hikes over mountains, having to employ strategy and tactic and wind and, cover, concealment to get in on some of the hardest things you'll ever hunt. And when you get to the military, a lot of those tactics are the same. The only difference is you really get to hone them, and you're going against a far more intelligent prey, we'll say, in this scenario. So you get really good, you hone that, and when you get out, you're coming out not only with what you had growing up, but, I had the advanced knowledge, the GPS, how to use advanced technologies, all the new stuff that's just coming out on the market, been out on the market for the last, 4 or 5 years. We were ahead of the game there. So being able to take that on top of what I knew from growing up and really being to employ all of this into a long-term strategy, it just kind of completes the picture. But I will tell you, it works great out west. These whitetail, shit, that's a whole nother game. I came in here thinking, find a tree, sit in a tree, wait till a deer walks by and shoot it. It'd be easy. That's not the case. I mean, listen to Kurt, listen to Cody. These guys are telling me stuff, and I'm going, wow, I never thought of that. No wonder I'm getting busted, because some of those things just don't translate from the West Coast to the East Coast, and it's intriguing to me.
That's pretty dope, man. That's actually very interesting. Just to circle back a little bit, you ever hunt Coues deer in Arizona at all, or no?
Oh, the old gray ghost. Matter of fact, that was my wife's first tag. When I came home, it was 2009. I just got home from Iraq, and my oldest brother had put my wife in with him and his wife on their tag, and they all pulled it. we didn't have any long range rifles, anything like that. And I mean, we were hunting down in your land, man. We were on the Mexican border. So it was a little bit crazy and chaotic in that scenario. But, you know, we went and got her own 300 Win Mag. We trained her. We got her shooting. And you'd go down there, and as you're making these treks up these mountains, you know, my brother's a diehard Coues deer hunter. And he's telling her, okay, if you see a mine shaft, just steer clear. If you see a bag on the ground, steer clear. He said, just pretend it doesn't exist. We're here for deer. He said, the second you acknowledge it or move towards it, that, you know, shit gets crazy. And I'm in my head going, dude, I just got home from Iraq. I'm not trying to come home to this shit. You know, but it was nuts. You know, you'd get up on the ridge tops, and I mean, it was just like being back in Afghanistan. You sit spot and glass and spend hours and hours to find a speck of something moving. And when you did, I mean, it's like, hey, I don't care if we killed it. We saw one. These things are literally ghosts. So yeah, we got to get out there and do it a few times. And my brother still continues to get out there, and he's a diehard for it. But, you know, it's probably hands down one of the top hardest hunts you can do in America.
How would you compare Coues? It's comparing apples and oranges. I know this, but as far as difficulty level alone, how would you compare a Coues deer hunt versus a Sika deer hunt?
I had a feeling you were going there. Size-wise, man, there's not a lot of difference. Coues deer isn't much bigger than a Sitka. From what I noticed, Sitka, in my opinion, are a little smaller. And it's more of a pain in the ass because you can hear them tromping around. You can hear them bugling. You can hear them doing their thing, but you can't see them sons of bitches.
So it's a different type of ghost.
Yeah, exactly. With Coues deer, you have to just see them. And when you see them, now you got to throw in a half-mile to mile-long stalk through some of God's craziest terrain to get on them. But going back to Sika, that all goes into like you experienced, man. It's, you got to get through that grass. You got to get in there and you got to find a tree big enough to support your ass. So apples to oranges, as you said, I think it's actually closer to apples, man. They both got their difficulties and they play in the same way. Honestly, I'd say if you like the Western hunt, the Coues deer's for you. If you want a challenging East Coast hunt comparative, the Sika's it. I mean, it's the same thing, just different hurdles you got to jump over.
You know what? That you answered that very, very safely, but it was a superb answer, man. It's almost like you have experiencing answering questions or even podcasting, wouldn't you say?
I've dabbled a little bit. I've played around on a few things in the past.
Okay. Well, why don't you enlighten us a bit, and we'll circle back to the hunting.
So, growing up, I'm going to say the majority of my father's side of the family was all in the music industry. My dad played guitar for Reba McEntire. My uncle's a professional sound guy. You know, we always dabbled in audio, you know, doing recordings, doing voiceovers, doing all sorts of stuff. And an opportunity presented not too long ago that, you know, there was a guy reaching out, wanted help getting a podcast put together. So I had the software, I had the equipment, and a little bit of experience. I said, yeah, let me jump in here and help you run it. And we kicked off, initially it was called the Hershaker Podcast. And we ended up rebranding it to the Battlewoods Podcast. And our focus was primarily on getting vets into the outdoors. So kind of expanding a narrower focus of what you guys do. Trying to get veterans coming out that now they have these skills, they have these experiences, and take those, employ them, and get outdoors. You know, let's increase the hunter numbers but let's educate you why we do it. And that's really where we went, or where we were going. But, it was kind of premature. We both had a lot to learn, and we decided to hold off for a little while. But, in the future, we may pick that back up once we have a little bit more ground under us. So we'll just kind of see what the future holds there.
That's pretty awesome, man. I was actually very excited when you had let Trev and I know about this very same thing going on, and you were asking, like, picking our brains and stuff. Not that we're any experts ourselves, because we're still learning. But it was a very comfortable feeling at the questions you were asking, because this is, stuff that we're living it every day. And the best suggestion to anyone getting out there starting to or thinking about starting a podcast, again, we're no experts, but we know firsthand you're going to have to live it in order to come out successful in it. Not that I feel like we're successful, but at the same time, I feel like we're doing it justice. And what I mean by that, it's through living it and being consistent and providing content. It may not reach everyone who we're trying to target, but guess what? It's reaching out a lot of people, and it piques an interest in the sense of what's missing in the podcast world, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. So the big thing is, like with you guys, and why I've been on your guys' back the whole way, is you're bringing it from an everyday man's perspective on the East Coast. And, you heard Kurt. He has no intention to ever hunt out here because it's the hardest place you could ever hunt whitetail.
Right.
But you guys are literally taking it and saying, hey, this is what the everyday guy has to go through to get, a Pope and Young buck out here. And it's not easy. So from the get-go, you're on my page. That's the same struggle I have every year. You're going through the same stuff, dealing with it, seeing it, and you're putting it out there, right, wrong, indifferent, big, little, small, doesn't matter. You're doing it. And that's what I think people on the East Coast need.
That's dope, man. We appreciate those kind words. And what better way, ironically, it's funny how I got to connect with WCB was the same person that you got connect through ECB. So we do have a lot more in common than what we may know.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're brothers from another mother.
Yeah, for sure. We got the same last name. I just have an E at the end. It's because I'm Mexican, so it's a Clarky.
Exactly. You got the Spanish English influence. I've got the Scottish influence. It's all from the same origin.
There we go. I like that. Go ahead, Trev.
Oh, no, I was just going to say someone jumped the border, but we're not sure what direction.
I think in this coast it kind of went from west to north to east and slightly back south.
Yeah, we're still lost in our own way.
We're just covering the whole country, man. Yeah. That's what we do.
Spreading the genes.
That's right.
So, take us through the steps how you actually found us, man, because this I love this story, man. I think about small things like this all the time, and I really appreciate it, man. And me being in my ripe age, like, I learned to really appreciate the small, stupid shit, but I guess what I call small and stupid is, like, things that may be bigger than what I really think it is.
So funny enough, I'm going to kind of push this one back to you. I want to hear how it came through on your end. Because my end, in my mind, it's kind of relatively simple, just through some good old bullshit. But I'm interested on hearing how this came out on your end.
All right, cool. I'm glad you asked because, again, I think about this, I don't want to say all the time, but on a pretty regular basis, especially every time you, like, reach out, say what's up or what have you, and even meeting you for the first time face-to-face is out of the blue, right? Here we are, Trev and I started this thing with the help of Ryan the Porn Star in the beginning, and we would just meet up every week, once a week, to bullshit, talk deer camp. With the help of Shabine, 100 Demons at the time, and then eventually, shortly thereafter, Nor'easter Game Calls. So, like, we're starting off really good, but we suck as far as, like, audio. Like, the only a person with experience with audio is myself, but then I have to kind of translate that to Trev, because Trev's a key component on allowing myself to kind of focus on hosting and having an outline and guideline. So it's like, it's a fine line of a balance. Whereas, you know, you're always butting heads because you think you know, but both of you don't know shit, and you're trying to make something happen. So for some odd reason, we're attracting people. And we're attracting people for the right reasons, especially East Coast people. And lo and behold, some West Coast people, or Midwest people, and some West Coast people. And what brings me to the story of, I don't know. I think it was around this time, like maybe Christmas time.
November 21st, exactly.
Oh, no shit. Damn, Trev's on.
Trev's on point.
So, Trev, why don't you take over this story then?
So I kind of remember, because we actually talked about this in the intro. Obviously, you didn't hear this. So we were like, so this guy reaches out to us and he says something.
Out of Virginia, yeah.
Yeah, out of Virginia. And he says something. And I said,
well, he started with, hey.
It says, hey, brother. May I read it, Steve? Do you have a problem with that?
No, man, go ahead.
All right. He pulled it up, man.
He said,
he's on point right
he's
now.
on it.
Hey, brother, Steve at WCB put me on to you. I'm a Virginia guy that gets tired of listening to Midwest stories. So glad to hear y'all are pounding it out for the East Coast. My question is, when are y'all, or how are y'all going to spread the South influence in the future after you are established? The South Range gets lots of love, but Central and Southern Coast is still hanging without representation and influence in the hunting communities.
So we both obviously read this, and we're both like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, calling us out, so to speak, but at the same time, like...
Respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully. And then, again, if we have the mutual friend of Stevie Mo... we're like, well, this dude's got to be serious, and it's someone we need to know. So after the first thoughts, we're like, fuck, like, we didn't really think that far ahead. And he brings up a good reason. Central and Southern East Coast is there, but never really get the true recognition, right? So that stirs in our head even more, and it's in our plan. So then I didn't really know how to answer it. I don't even know how I answered it then. Because I think I had the first reply. Because this is a platform where Trevor and I actually share. And we both communicate with supporters and people reaching out. So, truth be told, sometimes it's Trev answering, sometimes it's myself. And how did we reply that time?
It says, great question, and stay tuned in because we have a Maryland brother on deck and then a Florida boy after that. If you know someone, we should know. Fill us in. We East Coast to the fullest.
That's definitely me then.
Yeah, it was definitely you.
Yeah, that was you, D-Rob.
It was not me.
And I believe that's when you introduced Modern Assassin.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Exactly. And so now, like, if I were to have that question in front of me now, I think we've, I guess, had closer ties with our neck of the woods more, only because we don't know as much as we should know about the South, although we do have a lot of affiliates and we try to incorporate that as well. And I think we've done a good job so far, but we definitely need to do a better job. And I do agree with that 100%, to bring that more Southern feel into the East Coast. And it's not that we don't know anyone and haven't brought them on purpose. It's just scheduling is everything, is what I've come to find in just over a year's time. Is everyone's schedule is so hectic, especially around this time of year, that it's hard to lock someone in. And that being said, is like, for example, like Pigman. Brian is from Texas, but he hunts Florida a lot and Georgia and, you know, like he's all about hogs and gators, and so that's why we try to incorporate a little bit. Granted, he's probably considered more Midwest, but at the same time, he's always hunting East Coast. And then having our boy Kip come on the show and blessing us.
That's right.
Right around your corner, your neck of the woods. You know, it's like...
He's just down the road.
Exactly, man. It's like we really try to involve all of East Coast, and we encourage anyone listening to the show. It's like, reach out to us, man. Show us what you got to offer, what you want to talk about. And we're not biased. We don't play favoritism. We just want to put out quality. So,
don't worry. We'll have a first opinion of you, and we'll call you out on it, and it'll be fine.
Well, maybe that's Trev. Maybe that's
and
Trev.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, I can say Trev does do a good job of that. But so to answer your question,
you guys are definitely expanding. I mean, you guys got with Tattooed in the Wild, and you've got that thing rolling. Which next time you guys are down here, we'll go down there and get stupid together. I mean, you guys are getting the feelers out. You're getting people really starting to tune in or starting to drive this. You know, people around here are starting to know who you guys are. And I'm in an area that, you know, people don't listen to podcasts. That's like voodoo to them. So it's definitely getting around, man. You guys you're on the right track.
Appreciate that, man.
I guess my question to you is, did we live up to your expectations of the question that you asked in the beginning?
From the get-go, I think it was a perfectly reasonable answer. You know, you guys were just getting kicked off, just getting rolling, and then, you know, you clearly stated that, you know, we have intentions, and you guys have followed through with that and then some, and you continue to. So that explanation to what you guys are doing now, I mean, you've achieved it and then some, and you continue to. So I'd say you guys are on point.
We wouldn't be able to do it without brothers like you, man. Honestly.
Without a doubt. Trev, do you need the tissues?
No.
Oh. I see your eyes getting a little glossy.
Fuck off.
What? You didn't take a hit.
What you're saying is
drinking water.
That's
the truth.
Actually, speaking of which, are you sipping on anything right now?
I just happen to be sipping down on a little bit of Blue Moon.
Ah, there we go. You know what? We have a lot in common because I ran out of Shebeen, and I'm sipping on a Blue Moon right now. That's crazy.
Great minds think alike.
I guess so. I guess so.
When you can't have Shebeen, you stick with what you got.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, man. So, I mean, we met, all of us on the line right now, met first time face-to-face at Harrisburg, which it seems like Harrisburg is the biggest meeting ground in the nation for
no kidding.
For folks like us to really come together and really share experiences and stories. So, I mean, I was surprised because I'm running around like crazy trying to make shit happen. And Trev shot me a text while I forgot what the hell I was doing. I think I was talking to Just Byers at the time, actually, from Follow Her Arrow. She's out of Texas, too. She was at Harrisburg. And Trev's like, yo, you need to get back to the Wild Edge booth. Stephen Clark is here. I'm like, oh, no shit, on my way. And quite honestly, when my first impression when I saw you, I'm like, damn. This dude looks a little scarier in person than over social media. You know what I mean? In a good way, though. Like, you know, it's like, damn, this dude is rugged as fuck. In the sense of, like, you could tell you've been through some shit. And I was so honored in the fact that out of all people, even your at-home Pope and Young measurers, you brought me a skull for me to measure. I was like, damn, dude, like. You know?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't miss that opportunity, dude. It was, I want to say it was 2 shows before Harrisburg, and you had put on that, you know, you got everything going and you're really excited to start measuring, but, you know, you really love measuring bears because they tell a story, but you haven't had a lot of people bring you bears.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I had a hell of a good bear. I know it's close. I said, I'm going to take it up. I'm going to let D-Rock do this. So that was the plan, man.
Hell yeah, man. And you made it too. You know, it's awesome. And then Trev loved the story so much and the business that he's in. He's like, you know what? He's like, once you're done with that skull, let me have it and let me add my touch to it. And what'd you end up doing, Trev?
Oh, degreased it and re-whitened it.
dude, and I can't thank you guys enough. I mean, seriously, it means a lot because, you know, I'm just an at-home do-it-yourself kind of guy. And to my standards, I thought it was pretty good when you're like, no, man, I got this. It was greatly appreciated. So
that's the least we can do, man. To be honest,
know, right?
Like,
the fact that you followed our hooligan asses all this time, and then now, you know, on the show, it's like it's almost perfect timing. I want to say, you know what I mean, because we have a history to talk about, and it's not just like, oh, hey, yeah, we met this dude, blah blah blah. It's like, no, there's a story behind it now, and like, go ahead, Trev.
No, I mean, even going as far as, like, you were one of the first people to buy one of the Blood Series pot calls, and then you killed with it during that season, and, like...
Oh, yeah.
You know...
Killed it with a Zeus, too.
Killed it with a Zeus.
The ECB turkey pot call and a Zeus broadhead, like... Dude, it's like...
You bleed East Coast. I mean, how do you get...
Beast
Man, I got to
Coast.
support my boys. Speaking
Beast
of,
Coast,
you know,
yeah.
y'all have a little bit of a Christmas something or another coming in terms of those calls, so keep an eye out.
We will, man. And you know what? It's just really cool to see the success because you're obviously a seasoned hunter, and the fact that, you know, we're suggesting what we know best, and you take a chance with us. It's really awesome to see you succeed with those chances that you took with us. You know, nor'easter game calls, the first ever ECB turkey pot call. At the show at Harrisburg, you're like, what broadhead should I shoot? It's like, dude, this is the newest out. I'm like, I know there's been shit out there for a minute now that works, but I even remember it like it was yesterday. Put my arm around you. I'm like, follow me. Introduce you to Nick Albanese from Tack Driver TV, owner of Zeus Broadheads, B16, and Steady Form. And I'm like, dude, this is the broadhead to shoot. And they did a really good job explaining how it works and what it does and what's potentially going to come out from this broadhead. And, I mean, shit, there was a very rocky road for them being like the first newest of this style broadhead coming out. And you took the chance and you were successful, man. And you still are. You know? It's
yeah, dude, we're still rocking them.
It's crazy, man. I mean, tell us
but at
your
the same
thoughts on
time,
that.
come on, that demo they had there, I've never seen a broadhead go 6 inches through a frickin' bull's frickin' hindquarters and stick out the back of the hip.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how do you argue that?
Exactly.
So I'm all about that.
That's
and
awesome.
if I remember right, my exact statement to you was, look, I don't want to shoot what everyone's shooting. I want to do something that nobody believes in. I want to do something new and different.
Yep.
And that's kind of what spurred it. You said, you got to beat Nick, and we went. And he was spot on. Those things are hammers.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And this is what I love about this community, man. The hunting community, the outdoor community at that is, it's like people think the same. And, you know, we're all humans. So, of course, there's some people that may be judgmental or may be accustomed to what they know and not necessarily open-minded. But we stick to our own. And you can definitely tell who is open-minded, who's not, who's real, who's fake. And what I mean by that is, like, who's open to suggestion, who's got open arms to good people. And it seems to me, I may be wrong, but it seems like the outdoor community is like 99.5% good people, you know?
Oh, you bet. I'm right there with you. I mean, the best people, not only in the industry, but in the country. I mean, you get with another guy, you don't know him from Adam, and you find out he's a hunter, you know, whether it's, you know, he's browsing through pictures or you see something he's wearing or you overhear something he says, and you start talking hunting, and instantly you guys are connected and you can hold a conversation like you guys have known each other for 20 years. You know, you don't get that anywhere else in this country. So
you're right, man. And it's a beautiful thing, man. And not to get too touchy-feely, but I mean, I think a lot of us hunters take that for granted. In the sense of, like, maybe we should show a little more appreciation towards that and take it a step above, because why are hunter numbers down? Who do we have to blame? And it's very easy to, the leftist, the liberal, or people uneducated or ignorant to the fact of how it works or conservation. But is it really?
No, man.
I kind of want to look at ourselves. Right. It's on us. We're not doing the right part in bringing in enough people, educating enough people, or representing it correctly. We're all wild animals at heart, but we need to be very respectful of the people kind of looking in the fishbowl, so to speak. Like the outside in, they already perceive us to be wrong or not doing the right thing or just killing. Whereas we really need to show that precedence of actually we're doing the right thing. We're practicing conservation. We're doing it for the greater good.
We band together.
Absolutely.
I was talking to a close friend of mine here, or new close friend of mine here in Connecticut the other day, and he shot a button buck after he's been tracking it on foot through the snow with his muzzleloader, and he shoots a button buck, and he's like, some of the reason why I don't share a lot of my stuff on the internet or on social media in general is because I get belittled about it. And I said to him, I said, listen, this is the deal, man. Post that picture up and be proud of that picture and show that it is okay to post those pictures, man. You not doing it is going to stop a lot of people from wanting to do it. Or I said, you're an influencer for a lot of the local groups here. And I said, dude, post that thing up and make it known that it's okay to do that. That doesn't matter, whatever that trophy is to you, that you should be posting that thing up. And I think social media ruined a lot of that stuff that we're talking about, honestly, as far as the local community. And everyone's afraid to post shit or talk about it or reach out. It's so bad, man.
I'm 100% with you there. And that's one thing that drives me absolutely batshit crazy. You go out and you put a spot and stock on a button buck and you shoot a button buck, you just spot and stocked a whitetail.
Right.
I mean, that's not a simple task, man. I don't care who says what. Post that shit and be proud of it and let everyone else know you're proud of it. Because, did you ever see Fred Bear apologize for shooting a spike?
Never. It was
exactly.
It was always spikes, fork horns, and whatever came across his sights,
Yeah.
As long as it's legal and ethical.
You harvested the animal. And guess what? You got meat in the freezer. You can feed your family. That's an achievement.
Honestly, you see, and this is no down talk to anybody, but you see a lot of traditional archers. They shoot a lot of the smaller bucks, and they are so happy about shooting those deer. Which, yes, it is harder shooting a traditional bow or a whatever, but I know I have a ton of friends that are traditional archers, and they'll shoot fork horns, 6-pointers, small 8-pointers, and they are so proud of those deers, as they should, that even a guy with a compound or a crossbow or a rifle, whatever it is, if you take that animal, you should be just as proud as that guy shooting a fork horn or a spike horn with a traditional bow, and it should not stop there.
No, absolutely. Like I said, their challenges, they're literally making it the absolute hardest they can on themselves to go out and do it that way. And I give them mad respects. The buck I have right here on my wall, I'm looking at the skull right now. I am more proud of this little buck than I am of anything else in here. He's a Pennsylvania 7-point, maybe hit 85 pounds, or 85 inches, sorry. And the whole story that came out with this thing was just insane. Got into the stand, it was my killer stand, had everything patterned, and lo and behold, happened exactly like I wanted. My target buck walked through at 20 yards, stopped dead broadside. Literally was posing, going, shoot me. And I went to get my release and realized I left my release at the barn.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I went, you know what? I've seen these trad dudes do it with fingers. I can do it with fingers. And I pulled that frickin' thing back, and it was a short axle bow at the time, and let her rip. And, I was an inch low. And that thing ran off, and I was devastated. I was beating myself up. kind of like you went through before yours came back, only mine didn't come back.
Right.
And I'm just sitting in the stand going, man, I should just get down and just call it quits. And after about 10 minutes of that, I was like, you know what? No. I said, just sit here and let's see what happens. I'll learn something before next year. And this buck ended up coming out an hour and a half later and walked right under my stand, 5 yards, pulled back with fingers, put an arrow just to the offside of his spine, right through the heart, pinned him to the ground, and he was done in 20 seconds. And I about fell out of the stand. I was whining. I was crying. I mean, I was beside myself for the fact that, that one I wanted isn't the one I should have had. This was the one I was meant to have.
And you adapted to it.
Oh, I was tickled sideways with it. And still to my day, this is the proudest deer I have on my wall.
I feel sometimes
he's nothing special, but he is to me.
I feel sometimes that the bucks choose you.
Honestly. Oh, absolutely.
That's the gayest shit I ever heard.
He just really, dude. No, thanks, man. Really appreciate that, D-Rock. He just went.
Just leave you hanging.
Yeah. No, he just said that's the gayest shit I ever heard. That's what he just said. Which I disagree, man. Like honestly, like the whole New York thing. Like I had a decent 7-pointer come out, couldn't get a shot on it, didn't happen. Had a giant come out, couldn't make it happen. And then I come home and I shot my target buck, my Connecticut target buck, and I feel that it was meant to be like that. Like that buck chose me, and that was the deer that I should have been shooting the whole entire time. I shouldn't have been. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that's the same for you.
Feel you. So growing up, my great-grandpa was a government hunter out west. And my whole life growing up, we watched stuff on TV. And, you watching Buckmasters and all this stuff going on, and you're amped up and you want to hunt, but you can't hunt like that out west. One day I'm driving down the road out through the middle of nowhere, an old Forest Service road with my grandfather. And I said, Grandpa, are there deer around here? Because I'd never seen anything. And 5 seconds later, a mule deer buck steps in the middle of the road and looks at us. And he goes, yeah, but they only show you themselves when they want to be seen. So from that point on, I was always in my head that, when the one that's supposed to be seen comes out, it's going to.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. And you know what? Since we're talking
How come it's gay when I say it, but when he says it, it's not?
No, because he he's worded it in a way that it's, I think sometimes the bucks choose you.
I'm just.
That's all right, Trev. We'll talk it out later.
Shabby. I know what Trev was trying to say, though. It's like almost like if he would have shot this big buck in New York and then finally get his target buck here in Connecticut, then the appreciation level probably would have been very. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to say very different because you're an emotional dude in the sense of passion. Like you're very passionate about hunting. That I feel like it happened this way because it kind of like knocked you down a notch or even half a notch from not being successful in New York, but then coming back and giving you that drive, that extra drive to like make it happen. So I know what you're trying to say, man. For sure. For sure. It's still a little homo, but I understand and I love you for it.
All right. I hope you choke
like
on
I
that
said,
beer.
me and Trev will talk it out later.
I hope you choke on that beer.
It's all right. It's Blue Moon. It's hard to choke on this. Yeah, it goes down smooth.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, Steve, you used to shoot a different bow. And
I did.
You're hearing your boys out Midwest, Team Elite. Then the East Coast boys are coming out, full blown Elite Coast. And then Elite Archery's Rochester, New York base. And then Beast Coast comes out. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Did you make the switch or what?
Oh, dude. I made the switch and switched and ready to switch again, and I'm trying to convince my wife to let me switch again. It's one of those things that, I've shot the same brand for 13 years, and I was all about it, and it was great, and had some great success.
You could say the brand, man. There's a lot of good brands out there. We don't hate any brands. We just encourage everyone to at least try to shoot an Elite.
Oh, no, I'm 100% with you there. So I've been shooting bow tech almost forever. My main draw to it was, when you have a bow company putting bows out called the 82nd Airborne and the 101st and, to a guy in the military, it's like, yeah, I like their shit. Well, I got a carbon icon. That's what I took the bear with. I've taken a lot of deer with it. It was a great bow. And started shooting spots last winter and really trying to hone in my game. And I shot the thing so much that I actually twisted the riser.
What?
And was just kind of I put, I think, 7,000 arrows through this bow in a matter of 4 months. Doing John Dudley's School of Knot.
Right.
And just really trying to get my shit right. But, I took it from, hey, 40 arrows a day. Why not shoot 120? Why not? Hey, I feel good. I'm going to keep shooting. And twisted the riser. And when I took it in, dropped it off at the bow shop, the guy looked at it and goes, I don't know any other way to put this, but your bow has cancer. I was like, wait, what? He goes, no, literally, with what's happening here, the more you shoot it, the worse it's going to get. I can only cam the shim so much, but you'll never get back to a true center shot. I mean, I was like devastated because I couldn't afford a bow. That was all I had. And started looking into Elite and some of the others. And I mean, all through trade show season, even while I was there with you guys at Harrisburg, I went and shot every new bow that they had there and was almost sold on the Bowtech SS Realm, and Elite wasn't there, so I didn't have that chance to really do a side-by-side at the time. Well, I got to a shop that had them both, did a side-by-side, and my shoulder had been pretty well screwed up overseas. Had to have it rebuilt, had some, all the fun stuff that goes along with combat involved, all the stress, all the weight on it, and it just doesn't operate smoothly anymore. And I drew that ritual back, and it was butter. I mean, I had no hitches. I had nothing. And went home, told the wife, hey, I found the one, and I'm going to find a way to make it work. Got online, and that's when I realized, Elite has, their payment options. I went, holy shit.
The Klarna, yeah.
Looked at it, through Klarna. And for the first time in my life, I was like, I can buy the flagship bow and afford it. And did it. Dropped it right there and got the 35. And I can't get it out of my hands.
That's awesome, man.
And
that's a really cool story.
Don't they give some type of military discount also? Elite does?
They do. They have a very, very good veteran program. So for any vets listening, if you're in the market and you're looking for anything, and this applies even to the Cure, to the Result, if you want the flagship bow and you're afraid you can't afford it, they have a payment method, no interest. I mean, it's a very, very good option. You can get that flagship bow you've always wanted and afford it. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to hurt you. And you can be out there shooting the best on the market. So I highly advise all the vets out there to look into that program. And if you have questions, call me. Let me know. I'll talk you through the process. It's simple.
That's dope, man. That's nice of you to, it's very commendable for you to put yourself out there and really help them through it, because, I mean, that's it's not an easy purchase, and prices for this type of hobby are a bit daunting in the sense of, the working man might not, I don't know how to really put it, is maybe they just feel like they can't afford it. And this industry is full of good people that we can make sure that everyone gets out there, especially when it comes to someone, if it's pockets or money holding you back, there's always a way. And that's what I love about Elite specifically. And not just Elite, like the outdoor group themselves, like the main three that we really appreciate and are starting to use more and more, aside from Elite and Scott Archery releases, is the CB sights and equipment. Like I run a Torx stabilizer, and we just put in an order for CBE sights because right now presently we all use HHA, and HHA is an excellent sight to use as well. There's a lot of good options out there. As a matter of fact, you could use the WCB promo code is WCB15 for that for HHA. But for CBE, they have the Engage Hybrid, which is their single pin sight, and they have the Engage Micro, which I put in order for that, which is a multi-pin sight. This way, so I could put that on my Cure and really make that like an assault weapon for the battle woods, quote unquote. And I mean, shit. I mean, they have so many options. Like Elite in general, the Ritual, the Valor, the Hero X from Scott Archery, which is the youth release. You know,
right?
There's so many out there. The Pursuit, the Legacy, which are thumb releases, the Recon. I mean, there's so many things out there, so many options that there's no way in hell that you're not going to find something that fits you. And even going back on some older bows that first came out, like the Option series or the Impulse. I mean, there's so many out there, so many options. It's like, I feel like Step Brothers, you know, like so many activities, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And one other thing with the outdoor group that I want to point out. So on that vet discount, it not only applies to Elite Archery, but it applies to everything from the outdoor group. So one other kicker, one more reason that everyone should look into that, because now all the stuff you're talking about, you know, it's at their fingertips.
Exactly. And if, you know what, if there's something that is just slightly out of your realm as far as price, even with the help, guess what? They have more options for you as well. Like the CBE Tactic. It's a badass sight that doesn't break the bank. You know, they have starter bows that they offer that are amazing, that don't break the bank. They make it very affordable because their mission is to get people in the woods. They want you to shoot. And guess what? If you don't want to kill shit, that's all right. Invest in archery for competition. If you just like to shoot, I mean, they have those options too, and that's pretty amazing too, because guess what? No matter what, you're still going to be contributing to conservation, and that's the ultimate goal, because, I mean, not to get off subject and off base too much, but conservation is paying for those national parks and, you know, camping sites. I mean, everything and anything that has to do with the outdoors. So, I mean, we can't forget about those special little things. So, back to you, though, Stephen. Your late season tactics right now. I want to go over that and then backtrack to your successful harvests up to the late season tactics that you are now approaching. So, what are you doing now? Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. How you feeling, by the way, man?
Sorry, say that again.
How you feeling right now, by the way? Because didn't you just have some surgery?
Yeah, actually I did. I had to have some stuff removed from the back of my neck, just to the right of my spine. And we did that, let's see, it was last Tuesday, just about to the point where I can get my gear back on. You know, it's been a struggle. Every day I try to get it on and just see how it feels. Just about to the point where I can load back up and get back in the woods comfortably without risking anything. So we're looking forward to late season over here.
Word.
It didn't take you long to pull back the bow again, though.
Oh no. Day 2, I had to figure out what my limitations were. So
I saw
that first night was rough. The second day, I went out and I think I got 28 arrows or so through before it was like, all right, I probably should stop before I do something stupid.
I saw the post and I'm like, oh, Steve's back to normal. He'll be all right.
Yeah,
he's pulling the bow back.
I go nuts if I can't shoot.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
That's awesome, man. So how are you going to approach late season tactics right now? Like, what are you doing specifically?
So right now, we're transitioning our focus over here to basically going back to food. We're at the end of, the second rut. We see a little bit of activity going on, but it's starting to dwindle down. And the property that we hunt, they have a lot of seed corn. So they cut it real late. I mean, they literally just cut the crops a week and a half ago. Kind of broke my heart because it was the day after surgery, and they're cutting the corn, and I can't be out there. So just kind of rolling with it. But, we've left the pressure off it for, a week and a half now, and we're going to get back in there. I've got a couple of places that are, really keyed up, good transition areas, getting out into that feed for afternoon sets. Got some good spots set up to get in coming off a feed in the mornings. And that's primarily going to be the goal for the rest of the season, is catch these suckers as they try to get some meat back on them after the rut.
That's dope, man. So what, in detail specs, like what approach are you taking as far as it's late season, so scent control is probably, in my opinion, is more so than ever, because there's, what I feel is there's less scent in the woods, meaning there's a lot of dead shit, not a lot of trees or leaves on the trees,
right?
Not enough movement, so everything's a factor. You almost have to be expert ninja. So what methods are you using for this late season now?
So funny enough, I laugh. Me and Trev, I think we got the same mentality. All my gear's washed. It goes in the scent lock bag, and I wash it, and then I get in the car. And as I'm driving, it's an hour and 15-minute drive, so it gets a 30-minute cycle all the way down there. Change on site, and get in. I mean, it's literally out, walk out, toss some milkweed, figure out what the wind's doing, and go, okay, I can get in there or I can't. So it's all about the wind. It's all about the scent. And if my access is going to blow any scent whatsoever towards bedding or towards food, I'll wave off and I'll move to a different spot. I'll find somewhere that works, and that's what we'll execute on.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So take us through the story of your successes throughout this season. And don't shy away from details, because this is something very intriguing and what people really want to hear.
Yeah, no worries. So this property we're on is a new property. We never hunted it. I think we had, 2 or 3 months to scout it, so we didn't get that real early year pre-turkey season scouting work done in. So we didn't know much about it. Found some good transitions, some good areas going out into some soybean. And day one, set up on a spot that I knew we had a lot of activity, a lot of crossing. Some of our target bucks had been hitting it, but it was strictly on a north wind that was about 5 to 7 miles an hour at a 30.2% pressure. I mean, it was almost clock worthy every time you'd pull that. So went to this spot, everything was right, and nothing showed up till about the last 15 minutes of shooting light. Took a doe opening day from that stand, and kind of worked our way through October. Had some really good encounters, but like I said, the corn was standing on this property pretty much through everything. And twice I saw my target buck in the frickin' corn would stand up 30 minutes before dark. You could see his rack sitting above the corn, and he'd walk to the edge where the corn met the soybeans, and he'd stand there until it was too dark, and then he would step out. They don't get big because they're stupid. Had that happen twice. Had it happen again further up, moving into where I thought he was bedded. I was about 40 yards off, and he came through pushing does during the rut. Passed quite a few deer that, in Virginia, people were telling me I was stupid. I passed a couple of 130s, passed a couple of just really cool characteristic bucks that normally I would have shot, but knowing what this property holds, and this particular buck I was chasing is anywhere from, I dare say, the range of 170 to 200. I really can't tell. I've showed you guys the pictures and asked for your opinion.
Yeah.
And even you're like, he's big, but I can't really say. So I've been holding off, and the age class just hasn't been what I've wanted coming through. You know, I'm trying to make that transition on this particular property to looking for mature deer because I know there's a high number of them. And just constantly fighting that grind, that battle. Can't get where I need to be. Seeing a lot of good stuff, out of range, no shot opportunities. You know, the stuff that the everyday average hunter is going to experience every year. And I'm going to say late rut, so mid-November, ended up putting a big nanny down back in the front side of the property in some pines and got her out and said, you know what, I need a break. I got to get off this property. You know, and I knew we weren't overpressuring it. It's 1,000 acres, so we've been very careful on it. But I said, we need a break. Had an opportunity to come up and go use a Maryland tag on a brand new lease that a nonprofit for veterans had just picked up and didn't know anything about. And they said, hey, would you and your wife like to come out and hunt it? Let us know what you see, what you think. So we got in the truck at 1:30 in the morning and drove to Maryland. Got on the property, got in the stand. And it was beautiful property, nice layout, a lot of open field, very little wood, but a nice creek bed running through the middle. We set the stand up so we were probably 15 yards into the tree line, looking down into the creek and a finger that runs through the middle of two fields. And about, 8 o'clock or so, saw some does milling out in the fields, kind of moving towards bedding. And at this point, I'm going, okay, you know, I think we're pretty well shot for the morning. And had a squirrel run by on the right. And I've just got a habit. If I see a squirrel or I hear the birds, you know, the blue jays start kicking off, I'll always look. And I happened to glance over at this squirrel that busted out, looked the opposite direction.
A booner squirrel?
Yeah, trust me, it was a booner. Big old red squirrel, and I swear that thing was bigger than any 300-pound deer I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And peeked back over my shoulder and had a nice 8-point walking down the field edge, walking towards the bed. And I just kind of turned and said, okay, well, if he keeps down this field edge and he creases through this tree, I'm going to thump him. It's a 20-yard shot, and I've got one day on this property. You know, I can't be picky. And he came around the corner, and, you know, I had to stop and think. I was like, wow, that's actually he's a nice little buck. And at the same time, I'm going, why the hell am I thinking this? The deer's at 20 yards broadside stopped. Shoot.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thumped him, and he made a nice long blood trail of about 30 yards and piled up. Watched him the whole way, and I'm like, holy crap. Just devastated him. And went to get him, and it was hilarious. I've never seen deer. I mean, I've never hunted this particular part of Maryland, but I've never seen deer act the way they did around there. I got to this buck, went to get him, looked back to my stand and had about 14 does walking underneath it. I was like, son of a bitch. If I'd have waited, maybe something bigger would have come through. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need to play that game. I've got this buck on the ground and I'm happy with him. But I got to get him out of here so I don't run that stand. So I start dragging him real low profile up over this little ridge, trying to get him into the middle of the field out of sight of the stand area. And I start field dressing him, and I look up, and there are two does 30 yards away from me just sitting there staring at me. You know, no alert, no nothing, just like, oh, what are you doing? Hey, that's kind of cool. And I'm looking around like, is this real? So I knock another arrow. I said, well, you turn broadside, I'm going to have two down.
Yeah.
And, well, they turned, they ran off. Kept doing my thing, and I look up, and I've got 4 more deer sitting there watching me in almost the exact same spot. And at this point, it's about 10 o'clock. My wife's coming back across the field, and I said, you need to try to work your way this way and just sit on the field edge. And she starts walking, sees me, and starts coming towards me, and has a doe walking around right next to her in the tree line. So she knocks an arrow, and she's starting to put a stalk on. And then, I mean, at the point from her getting from where she was to where I was about 200 yards. And I think she had to stop 4 times to get a release put on because she had shot opportunities. And it was just insane. So she linked up with me, got the deer drug out, quartered him up, dealt with that. Walked out at lunch, met up with a couple of buddies for lunch there who were local to the area. And one of them kind of leans over and goes, hey, you guys interested in going back to my spot and going hunting Sika? And I looked at my wife and I said, well, the goal here is to get you your first archery deer, and you got a high probability on that property, so I'm going to leave it up to you. And she kind of sits and looks, thinks, and she looks over at my buddy and goes, well, what do you think? And he said, you live in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. You can hunt whitetail every day. Not every day can you go out and just go hunt Sika on a guy's private land on the edge of the Blackwater. And she went, okay, I guess we'll do it. So in my head, I'm going, okay, well, I have the opportunity of a lifetime. I can go pursue 2 species of deer on the East Coast and possibly get something down, because the guy was, from what I've heard, the property was pretty lit. We got out to his cabin, changed, got everything set up, went in, put her in a blind. I went out and played the whole marsh mess and found me a place to get up. And I mean, we had, like I said, you can hear the deer moving all over that marsh, but you can't see them. It was insane. I was like, okay, are these swamp rats? I can't tell. Are they Sika? I mean, I was lost. And I had this hind pop out 20 yards in this little crossing. I was like, holy shit. You know, so I got drawn, and I'm looking at her, and I'm making my range in my head the same way I would a whitetail, you know, judging distance on the size. And I was like, oh, 30 yards dead to right. Let the arrow fly, went right over her back, and I went, what the hell did I do wrong? Well, as she ran by, I went, that damn thing isn't no higher than my knee. And completely misjudged it. I ranged it, and I was like, no shit, she was only 17 yards. So I had the shot at both species in Maryland in one day, which would have been pretty awesome. But, you know, I'm happy just to have even had a shot on a Sika on that first sit on the first day out there. Went in for the night, got up the next morning, and, well, let me backtrack. So as I'm sitting out there, we hear a stag bugling, you know, and you got to hear it. You know what that sounds like. It's unique. Well, we had one that was blowing 4 times, you know, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know. We get in, and I tell the landowner, and he's like, you had a 4-bugle stag in front of you? I said, well, somewhere out there. I couldn't see him. He goes, that's a big stag. He kind of explained to me, he's like, well, you know, a 2-bugle stag is real young. A 3-bugle stag it's a mature. A 4-bugle stag, that's an old deer. That's a big deer. I'm going, oh, well, you know, that's cool. I heard him. I know he was there. The next morning we get up, and I sit with my wife in the blind, and I left my bow back. You know, it was focusing on getting her something. And 15 minutes after shooting light, I see a deer pop up, start walking down this marsh line, and he lifts his head up, and I went, holy shit, that's a stag, you know, and this thing's 90 yards away, and I can clearly see everything. I went, that's a big stag. So he works his way to us, and I've got the rangefinder trying to, you know, get the perfect light in the blind, and he steps into the only opening he was going to give us, and I hit him. I went 34 yards. And before I could put the rangefinder down, my wife let the arrow loose. And I'll be damned if that thing wasn't up and over that arrow before it was halfway to him. So we recovered the arrow, clean miss. But both of us were just kind of shaking our heads going, wow, you know, first shot out here, got a shot at a hind, a shot at a massive stag, big old 7-point, was probably, I don't know, if I had my best guess, I would say he was 14 to 16 inches tall with, I mean, really clean splits.
Jesus, so, how big were the eye guards?
They were clear enough. I'd say they made it to his eyes. So on a stag, I'd say that was probably, 5 inches?
Jesus.
I mean, this thing was a beast. and this was my first real taste of being up close to a big Sika. So we went in, we told the landowner, he goes, well, we've seen that thing probably 7 times in the last 6 years, and I think we've shot at it 3 times. No one's been able to shoot. So, we got out there. I got a shot on the hind. She got a shot on that stag. And both of us recovered our arrows, which out there is impossible. So for that alone, they're like, we're going to give you credit. You found your arrow.
Yeah.
And that was really the gist of that. We rolled back and just kind of sit and soaked going, did that weekend just happen? Because it was off the hip, spur of the moment. Left bright and early Saturday morning and came back late Sunday night with no intentions or plans of doing any of it the day before. So it was pretty legit.
That's dope, man. That's so cool to hear, man. And you know what? It's like, I don't know about you, but from my personal experience, like when I went to hunt the marsh ghost, it was shortly thereafter it got flooded out. So maybe my experience was that much more of a difficult hunt, is why I'll never hunt whitetail the same, is because it was so difficult just to even get into a tree that every time I go whitetail hunting, I'm not going to say it's easier because it's not. It's a different style of hunting. But getting into a tree, guess what? It is easier. And
it changes everything.
Yeah, man. Like going the extra mile is no problem now.
Exactly.
Going over the next ridge is like, fuck it, let's do it. It's not even a second thought after hunting the marsh ghost, because it is that, or for me, it was that difficult. You'll hear Garrett, the Modern Assassin on Kills It podcast, talk about the very same thing, and you could catch it on YouTube. He has some video clips after my...
Yeah, you got some good film of it.
Oh, man, that's just a little teaser, man. Just wait till the full videos come out. He caught me slipping. I'm huffing and puffing because we had to walk 6 miles, after the harvest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm spitting out just fucking nastiness.
Yeah, you guys were right there. You were in the heart of the Blackwater, if I remember right.
Yeah, man. It was insane.
It ain't easy territory.
Nah, it's really not. It's really not. So, just an appreciation of how difficult it was. It's like I look at whitetail hunting a totally different way, in the sense of really appreciating the difficulties of that, in the sense of it's not so bad going the extra mile on whitetail hunting. And especially in the East Coast, it's like, sometimes the access points, so you have to climb a fucking mountain or the side of a cliff, and it's difficult. But is it as difficult in comparison? Or even if it is as difficult, will it be worth it? Of course, because the reward, you never know what's going to be the outcome, and you'll never know unless you try it, I don't know.
I'm 100% with you.
Maybe I'm just babbling, but it's just...
No, dude, you're until you've done it, it's hard to explain. I feel you. Even just telling that story, I feel like I haven't done it justice, because, it wasn't easy. It was a bitch getting in there. So I'm right there with you.
And especially the flooded trenches, you know what I mean? Before you get into certain properties down in Maryland, it's like people, I don't know. If you haven't hunted it, then you don't know. And what I'm specifically talking about is like the ditches. All the ditches are flooded. Yep. Some people run the ditches on canoes.
Yeah, all day long.
That's what I'm saying. So like you have to cross that before you get into a property. It's just insane. It's insane. So real quick though, Steve, you gave the first ever Secretive Service shout out to Kills It podcast, and G he'll never let it down, and he feels horrible how he pronounced your name because of the way it's spelled. You're Steven with the PH, and he said Stephen Clark, and he feels, trust me, he felt
that shit don't offend me. No, I've had that my whole life.
Right. I'm sure every Stephen has.
Exactly.
But
just roll with it.
Right, exactly, man. And this is what I love about our close community that we are. Not closed, but a very close community that we have. That you gave out the first Secretive Service shout out to Kills It podcast. So when you heard G come out with his own podcast, like, what were your first initial thoughts? And then once he said that, who did you shout out and why?
So, one, if you're not listening to Kills It, you're stupid. You need to jump on that shit. G does a great job. He brings out a great story. And, I mean, he sticks to what he does, man. Raw, real, no bullshit. He tells you how it is. And it's great perspectives on so many different things, not just hunting. And I think he's going to do really well with it. And I'm going to support him just as well as I support y'all. But when I heard him throw that out, one, I was like, hey, I want to make sure he's got options that he can do this thing he's wanting to do. I know he's trying to focus more on not military exclusively, but, most of my realm is all military. So the guy I threw in, I haven't put him out there a whole lot. He doesn't like being put out there a lot, but the guy's been probably my absolute biggest influence on the East Coast. Took me everything from how to hunt on the East Coast to here's a place to hunt on the East Coast to, let me introduce you to some guys that are good at this, some guys that are good at that. And it's just evolved into, I love the guy like a brother. It was Gunnery Sergeant Jim Doolittle. Marine Corps, was tied up, very involved with some very high-end current people in the military, so I don't want to go into too much detail there for anyone's sake. And basically when I got here, you come from the West Coast to the East Coast, hunting's a different animal. Out there you don't have to worry about private. You've got all that public land that you can go for days. And I got out here and went, wait, I can't just walk over that ridge. That's someone else's property and I have to get permission. How the hell do you hunt out here? So I reached out and a buddy of mine said, hey, call these guys. They'll kind of walk you through it. Reached out, got everything set up. The guy said, here's a number. The guy's name is Jim Doolittle. He's out there by you out in Front Royal. There's a turkey hunt coming up if you're interested. And I'm, in my head, turkey hunting was, you grab a tag and when you're out chasing mule deer in the fall in Arizona, if you happen across one, you wasted 3 arrows trying to hit it. There was no turkey hunting like we do out here. Brought me in, took me out on this turkey hunt. We ended up doubling opening morning. Had an incredible time. Treated me and my wife like absolute family the whole time. At this point, we'd lived here for 6 months and didn't know a single person in this town. And just brought us in. And from there, helped them out doing some farm work, trying to just say thanks up at their place in Pennsylvania. And come fall, he was like, hey, do you have a place to deer hunt? I said, well, no, not really, other than here at the house. He said, I've got a place down here on the North Carolina border. Why don't you come down here and spend a weekend with me? So we went down there and we hunted that opening weekend, a muzzleloader. And to this day, that's now our tradition, is opening weekend. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing. And just the guy is unbelievably open-hearted, and he'll do anything for anyone. Just as far as he sees someone in need, he'll do what he can do to help remedy the situation, whether he knows them or not. And I felt that was the kind of guy that G needed for that. So I kicked it out to G and I said, hey, here's this. If you want to use it, cool. If not, no big deal. And G killed it, man. He did an absolute great job. Portrayed it better than I could have ever hoped for. And I reached out to him right afterwards. I was like, man, thanks. That meant a lot.
Yeah, man. This is something that we reach out to all our listeners listening to this episode specifically is, the Secretive Service shout out. Garrett does, the Modern Assassin does show recognition to Working Class Bowhunter on their veteran shout out, because he did get inspired from that. But he wanted to open up the realm a bit more because there's a lot of people that don't seek the recognition that should be observed. And this is something that we encourage all you listeners out there that drove yourself, Steve, to reach out and give that secretive service shout out, because there's so many people out there doing it for the greater good, whether it be a teacher, a school bus driver, even therapists, social workers, military, firefighters. I mean, you really need to acknowledge that, because there's so much good in the world that it's very easy to fall into the realm of negativity. And that's something that we do a really good job of blocking, because I'm not going to say, oh, social media this or that. It's like, no. It's social media gives a platform to be yourself, but a lot of people tend to lean more towards ridiculing, which is just human nature, though. You know what I mean? Humans in general might just need that out, and sometimes they don't even realize. I say they very loosely, because I'm one of them too. Sometimes, you know, I get caught up in just releasing and expressing myself, that we need to be conscientious of positivity and acknowledgement, in the sense of how much positive there is in the world, and Secretive Service Shout Out does that. It really recognizes, shows acknowledgement of the small person, the nurse that changes bedpans all the time. They don't have to do that shit. They do it because they want to help. Is check out Kills It Podcast, submit your Secretive Service shout out. And there's something really cool coming very soon out of Kills It. It's some of our boys out of Michigan. I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want to ruin it for Kills It and the Modern Assassin. Our boys out in Kills It, they enjoy beer, they enjoy hunting, and they provide a service. So stay tuned for that. I'm guessing it's coming out on Monday in podcast land. I believe this episode, Steve, will release it tomorrow, which is Friday in real time. So it's going to be really interesting to hear. It's so hard not to drop teasers. All right. So I'll just keep it at that.
Just leave them with a cliffhanger, brother.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough not to spill the beans, but I won't snitch. So we'll keep it at that.
That's right. Snitches get stitches.
I like that, man. So it brings us to Ninja Tip of the Day. Stephen Clark out of Virginia. Were you born at AZ or no?
Yeah, I was born and raised AZ.
Born and raised AZ, Arizona. And something brought you to the Beast Coast, the military, and maybe your own conscience. You felt the right move. So what do you bring to the table for our listeners? Ninja Tip of the Day. You listen to the show. It could be hunting relation, outdoors, or even life hacks in general. What do you got?
So what I got is very applicable to hunting, but I found it very applicable to everyday life. Something an old platoon sergeant used to scream at us every time we'd start training and learning something new was fell fast, fell hard. You know, so when you get out there, here's something new. You don't have the experience, the knowledge, but you got to figure it out. The best way to do it is go and fail. Because you fail, you learn from it. And then fail again, you learn from it. And the harder you fail, the more you learn. So start off, fail fast, fail hard, get it out of the way, learn the lessons, and then go execute.
Dope. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
What do you got to say to that, Trev?
I think it's amazing. I totally agree.
Why is it amazing?
Because it is. Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Elaborate, but am I putting you on spot?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? It's all right, Trev. At least this time you weren't playing on your phone.
I was actually paying attention.
You're paying attention. I like it. That's what I'm saying. That's awesome.
You gave him stage fright.
No, trust me. He ain't shy at all. It's just I caught him off guard again, you know. Oh, man. this is fucking awesome, man. This been a long time coming, Steve. It's just we really what our goals for 2020 for Trev and I. I know you guys had planned a little something this past year, but couldn't. The stars didn't line right. I think for 2020, at least for turkey season, we need to head down your way, man. Make some magic happen.
You bet. You know, the door's open and we've got the place ready to roll, so we definitely need to make that happen.
Hell yeah. Ain't nothing better than some eastern birds, you know?
That's right.
Hell yeah. So, Stephen Clark, what rattles your antlers? What gets under your skin, man?
So this one could go a million different ways, but I think the one thing currently that really kind of, I find it irritating, you know, it's like a bad rash that won't go away, is...
herpes?
Well, you know, little Johnny Walker fixes that.
It started it, too.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, God.
But I think what really I found irritating this season is the fact that, you know, people are taking away the credit from themselves on their kills and giving it to products, giving it to sponsors, giving it to, you know, every person they can tag on the gram. At the end of the day, you know, you put in the work, you put in the effort, you executed the shot. You know, take some credit for your kill. Don't give it to the corporation. You know, they're tools, but you're the hunter. So don't forget that.
Damn, dude. You're one of the few that comes on this show and turns what rattles your antlers into such a positive that goes to show, not to discredit any other what rattles your antlers, but you could tell you've been through the thick shit to turn a what rattles your antlers into a positive. That's dope as fuck, man. We really commend you for that. That's awesome.
The less room we have in this world for negativity, the better world it'll be.
Amen, brother. Amen to that. So, I mean, what better time since we're on this positive high, so to speak, and it's just one of those things. It's like, what I like most, I'll start off on the round of positivities.
Oh, I was fucking ready for it.
Nah, man. This time I'm taking it. This time I'm taking it. Is
oh my god, here it comes.
Yeah, is you brought it up earlier? Tattooed in the Wild. Actually, wait. Before we bring that up, just to backtrack even more, you brought up Alexandria in Louisiana. That's probably, and I wanted to touch base, but I didn't want to cut you off in your conversation. Is that's probably the closest like place to Sleesville, Louisiana, that you could actually do something that involves being out of the sticks or out of the bayou. So it was cool. You brought up some memories, just even saying the word Alexandria in Louisiana. So that was cool. But to bring it to some real shit is round of positivity is Tattooed in the Wild. When I'm in Virginia, because that's where Tattooed in the Wild studio is, they're actually a TV show that hasn't signed with the people they want to sign with yet. So keep a lookout for them. They have a team out in Ohio. They're based out of Virginia, East Coast, Ohio. We consider them Middle Easterns. Not the Alaboom. Not the Alaboom. The, you know, like, oh, hey, Middle Eastern. Like, Ohio, they're close to our side in the sense of they believe in what's true and ethical. Shout out to Keith and Stephanie Chirac, Ryan Davis, and Sarah Thomas out there. They're putting it down, representing the East Coast. And when I complete my story for Tattooed in the Wild in Virginia, I'll definitely hit you up. I know Trev will be with me filming, and I have to complete my story. You know, I went through their process, and now I need to get my tattoo. So that's my round of positivity of how our community is so close that at times we don't even know that we're already brothers without even knowing. So
I'm with you, man.
Trev, what do you got? Round of positivity.
Round of positivity. I don't know how I can beat that, but my round of positivity, honestly, as always, is we've had another brother for a year and finally getting the chance to drop down a track and just let everybody know and spread the love and kind of like what we do and who we are and the people that we affiliate ourselves with, man. I mean, I talk to Steven pretty regularly, I would say. I know in the hunting season it kind of gets cut up a little bit, but we all together get to share our journeys together and talk and so on and so forth, but we don't always get to share them. So tonight was kind of really a special night for all of us, I think, honestly. And I really look forward to coming down to West Virginia and killing some shit with Steve, honestly.
So,
oh, yeah.
I'm going to ask you again. Do you need the tissues?
Yo, go fuck yourself.
Oh, okay. I'm shooting ethics, though.
All right. That's right.
Stephen Clark, what do you got? Round of positivity, man.
All right, man. My round of positivity. So I'm going to roll into a special part of this season to me. We're coming into the late season. It's the last chance. It's the push. But ultimately, you know, I've spent a lot of Christmases away from my family and out doing shit in the middle of nowhere. And there are still guys out there. So I guess the best way to put it is don't forget them. You know, don't forget our guys overseas, and make sure you show some appreciation every chance you can get, because they're over there doing it. They're not out here enjoying late season with us. And, I mean, they're doing it for us. That's why we're able to do it.
Damn, dude. Pass me those tissues.
Yeah, seriously.
I need them, bro. No, seriously. I'm being serious, man. That touches home, I know, to a lot of people. And what better way to end that? Because that's the most positive thing that I could ever think of. And thank you for bringing that to the table, Steve. So, Stephen Clark, before we close this out, man, just to reiterate and let our listeners know where to find you and contact you, just let them know, please.
Yeah, you can find me on the Instagram at Hidden Mountain Bowhunter, and my wife's got some Facebook up, but I couldn't honestly tell you what it is. So,
so they're going to have to do some trolling.
There you go. Make you work for it.
There you go. On that note, stay stepping.
And stay slaying.
I've never had Tigamani eyes, and I'll never kill a boon in Crockett. I try to let a few does walk, but if that freezer runs low, I gotta stock it. These scrub bucks got no mask, darn sure no drop times, but this chili has deer burger in it tonight.
Dude, where did this podcast go? Straight to hell. Yeah, speaking of hell, check out East Coast Bowhunting Podcast.
We keep it real on East Coast. First of all, I'm addicted to the show. I like that. That's cool. Okay. Whole hunt, you live it, you breathe it. It's a whole different world. Just East Coast has a little bit more of an edge and a grind. It's a fantastic thing.
You guys are fucking awesome.
Well, number one is you guys like beer. I want to feel like I'm hanging with the boys.
You're the guys who showed up.
But I actually saw Jesus.
The point where it is now where it's insane.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Just want to get the realest people possible in the industry. And if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing it right. Nothing forced. It's all fucking natural.